Hi, I'm Sharon. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Northwest Passage. This project grew from a lifelong love of travel and a MALS course I took called The Arctic and the Amazon by Dr. Bob Healy, who became my project advisor. This is the Northwest Passage as we know it today. It runs from the Atlantic Ocean, above the Arctic Circle, across North Canada and Alaska, through the Bering Strait to the Pacific Ocean, or reverse. Beginning in the late 1400s, Europeans sought a maritime shortcut to Asia, but the Arctic was completely unknown to them. For 400 years, brave but often foolish explorers attempted to discover a Northwest Passage to expedite trade. My project begins by tracing the history of these explorers. The search became a sort of maritime holy grail, but their attempts were repeatedly blocked by ice and harsh conditions, resulting in lost lives and ships. Finally, in 1906, the great Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen became the first to transit the passage, but his route was judged to be of no commercial value. Today, the Arctic is the fastest warming place on the planet. As longer, warmer summers decrease sea ice and open the passage, the geopolitical stakes have increased, along with interest in shipping, mining, and tourism. In 1984, the Lindblad Explorer became the first cruise ship to transit the Northwest Passage. But how many cruises have done it since? In this part of the project, I researched the history of Northwest Passage cruises and learned there have been a surprising number. Expedition cruises, usually on smaller ships, have transited the passage almost every year since 1992, and their numbers are increasing. In 2020, 7 full Northwest Passage cruise transits were planned, along with 10 partial transits, until all Canadian Arctic cruises were canceled due to COVID-19. But why are cruise passengers increasingly lured there? I was lucky enough to take a partial passage cruise in 2019 to find out. I conducted a passenger survey and focus groups on the trip I took, followed by a marketing study. I determined that tourists are primarily drawn to the Northwest Passage to trace the path of the explorers, to gaze upon pristine Arctic scenery, to meet the wonderful local people, and to view Arctic wildlife. Nationality and gender do play a role in motivation to visit, but top motivations closely mirror advertisements. Despite increasing ship traffic, ice in the Northwest Passage remains extremely unpredictable, and these cruises are not without risk in terms of possible environmental contamination, a lack of rescue capability in the area, the carbon footprint left by visiting, and disruption of wildlife and local people. This project examines those issues and concludes that Northwest Passage cruises should continue, but only with additional limits and restrictions to protect this beautiful, fragile place.